Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us. On the programme this evening.
The diving experts looking for missing Nicola says his underwater team has exhausted the river and found no evidence she fell in.
A government inspection of Greater Manchester Police's custody services finds children being wrongly detained and inmates left naked in cells.
I expected to be treated fairly, with dignity and in line with the law. 10 minutes just sat there, with no clothes on and a bench in the cell.
I'll be live from Liverpool Cathedral, where a brand new sculpture is helping to shine a light on some very important issues.
Ain't no mountain high enough for Oscar, on a mission to become the youngest person to climb the equivalent of Everest.
And it's felt a little bit like spring has been in the air today, but what does the rest of the week have in store? The forecast is coming up.
Well, first tonight, and the underwater search expert who claimed that if Nicola Bulley was in the River Wye, he'd find her, has ended his search.
Peter Faulding was invited by Nicola's family to join the search this week. His team has spent 3 days now combing the river with sonar equipment, but they have found absolutely no evidence at all.
Well, let's cross live to Anna Yosef, who's been in St Michael's on Wye for us. And Anna, the agony goes on, and Nicola's partner has been with the team at the riverbank today.
That's right. Paul Ansell spent several hours with the search team here, including their team leader, Peter Faulding, who joins me here now. Peter, we saw you talking with Paul on the riverbank near to the bench where Nicola's mobile was found. Can you tell me about that conversation?
I mean, it's a very difficult to talk and with Paul. He's clearly upset, and the family, and to be honest, it was quite emotional for me today because we've come to the end of the search with no sign of Nicola, and you know, the heart goes out to these people. It's terrible that what they're going through at the moment, and not knowing where, looking into the river and not knowing where Nicola is. And
were you just talking, asking him about, explaining to him what you've been doing, giving him a briefing about the investigation? Yeah, we've been talking to him about the area of river that we searched. So we searched from the weir upwards, up as far as the mobile home park thoroughly. The police have dived the original entry point 3 times, and we've done an extremely thorough search of this river, and there is no sign of Nicola in that part of the river. So I am happy that is completely now clear. Well, when you emerged from the incident support unit that's behind us here now, you both looked very emotional. Yeah, well, I was talking about Nicola to Paul for a long time, and it is an emotional thing, and it sort of brings a tear to your eye what they're actually going through, really. It's very, very difficult. And then talking to the sisters and husband, and it's not a very nice thing to have to do, really. The police have now extended their search 10 miles away towards Fleetwood and the Irish Sea, in the belief that Nicola may have been swept out in that direction. Yeah. What do you think about that theory? Well, if Nicola had gone over the weir, and we've got nothing to go on at the moment, the river was slightly higher on the day, but if she had gone down there, then we've searched down the first part of the bridge. We're totally happy that she's not there. There is the odd strainer in the way that someone could get caught, but they'd be washed out with the incoming tide. And then their job now is to go all the way down to the sea, and they've got to rule it out. They've got to search it, so it needs to be done. I know today is your final day. We can see that you and your team have started to pack up now. As you leave, what are your thoughts? Well, I'm glad that we haven't found a body of Nicola, really. But I can hand on heart say that area is searched, what were tasked by the police to search, and I just, my thoughts go out to the family at the really difficult time, and we've worked really hard to try and help them and worked alongside the police, and there's still no sign of Nicola. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Well, as we've heard, the police have extended their search, and I've seen officers scouring the fields and the surrounding areas. But tonight, with still no sign of Nicola, the family's torment continues. OK, Anna, thank you.
Well, next tonight, children have been detained unnecessarily and inmates left naked in cells, according to a damning report into Greater Manchester Police's custody services.
Yes, inspectors at His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services have heavily criticised police custody and say urgent improvements are needed.
It highlights 6 areas of concern.
They say the force's leadership for custody provision isn't strong enough and senior leaders aren't fully engaged in ensuring the service is provided well.
The force doesn't always meet legal requirements for the detention.
Information on what force is used by which officers is often incomplete and inaccurate.
Detainees are sometimes left naked in their cells and not encouraged to put on replacement clothing.
There aren't always enough staff on duty to manage risk appropriately and make sure detainees are kept safe.
And the records of detainees' medicines are not consistently maintained.
Well, our correspondent Rob Smith joins us in the studio now. And Rob, you've been speaking to someone who claims they've had first-hand experience of this.
Yeah, someone who was arrested on suspicion of a crime she denies last autumn. She says she experienced a lack of dignity and medication issues. Kathy, not her real name, is from Greater Manchester. She spoke to me on condition of anonymity today. She's not been charged, but she's been on bail for months. And she told me she has mental health issues. Her experience in custody was distressing. In her words, she's never felt anything like it in her life.
I got arrested. I expected to be treated fairly, with dignity and in line with the law. 10 minutes just sat there, with no clothes on and a bench in the cell. I had to ask the uniformed copper to stop staring at me because she was making me uncomfortable. I was never allowed my antipsychotic medication. It was never even suggested I could take it, even when I asked to take it numerous times. I was pressing the bell. They wouldn't come to the door.
Now, Kathy complained to GMP about her treatment. Their investigation concluded it was reasonable, it was acceptable. She's now appealing that outcome with the help of a foundation run by the former detective, Maggie Oliver.
That is inhumane treatment of somebody in a custody office. And it is not lawful, it is not necessary, it is not needed. And, you know, the power dynamics are at play here. And that girl, can you imagine how she felt being all alone in a custody office, being treated as though she was #1 criminal in the world?
These are shocking claims, Rob. What have GMP had to say?
Well, in response to Kathy's claims, GMP say tonight that their professional standards branch has concluded, quote, concluded its investigation, but they add they're aware of the appeal review by a third party, so they say it would be inappropriate to comment any further right now. As to the wider report, they say work's already underway to address the concerns raised there. They're appointing senior officers to oversee that work, including an assistant chief constable, and officers further down the ranks in custody suites to do exactly the same. They insist they'll raise standards, they'll increase scrutiny, deal with those medication and clothing issues, and audit the whole thing to ensure that professional standards, professionalism is maintained. Both they and the inspectorate point out that the force's recent drive to increase arrests has put extra pressure on custody teams. GMP say they won't stop doing that. They want to get offenders off the streets, but say they'll make sure they treat people fairly and with dignity. It's worth noting the inspectorates welcome the force's response to the report, taking immediate steps, taking action, but it says it will monitor progress to ensure that things continue to improve.
Rob, thank you.
In other news, and the chair of the region's Turkish Community Association has thanked people for their support after the earthquake that's killed more than 11,000 people. It struck south-eastern Turkey and northwest Syria. The association is appealing for warm clothing, tents and sleeping bags as rescuers search for survivors for a third day.
Everybody is, it's a disaster of such a huge scale, and people have been affected really badly. The whole world is coming together, so it gives them strength to know there's people all around the world that care about them and want to do something for them, and they really need it.
Well, for information on the collections taking place across the northwest and how you might be able to help, head to our website, itv.com/Granada.
The President of Ukraine has presented Chorley MP Sir Lindsay Hoyle with the helmet of a Ukrainian fighter pilot during a visit to Parliament. The gift came as Volodymyr Zelensky urged Britain to provide his country with modern military aircraft during an address to politicians in Westminster. In his own speech, Sir Lindsay paid tribute to the resilience of the Ukrainian people and promised to do all he could to help them in his role as Speaker of the House of Commons.
We will not give up on those ideals. We'll continue to support you against that Russian aggressor. And I pledge here today, in front of all of you, to do all I can to keep the plight of Ukraine in the spotlight. Later this year, the UK and Ukraine will be united in music, but we will always be united in our unwavering belief in the power of democracy. Slava Ukraina!
Yeah, very moving occasion there today. Well, lots to come on the programme tonight. Coming up.
Defending champions Manchester Thunder strike a pose as they get ready for the new season.
And despite the frosty nights, you could be forgiven for thinking spring is on the way. Lots of settled weather ahead through the rest of this week. Join me later for a full forecast.
Yeah, thanks, Jo. Great to see that blue sky. And let's take a look at what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30 with Romilly.
The earthquake death toll climbs above 11,000 as rescue efforts continue in Turkey and Syria. Anger builds towards the Turkish president over the country's slow response as thousands remain trapped beneath the rubble. Here, the Ukrainian president thanks Britain for its support in a surprise visit to the UK. And is Basel making a comeback? Faulty Towers could burst back on our screens after more than 40 years. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
About Faulty Towers, I watch it now and I'm in stitches. It is class comedy.
What a comeback that will be. I just hope it doesn't disappoint. It's just so hard to follow those, isn't it? But anyway. Good luck to them with that. Now then, we're hearing a lot about how much energy costs at the moment, but do you know how much energy it takes to power one light bulb for a year? Well, we're about to find out as we cross live to Liverpool's Anglican Cathedral, where a brand new art installation is dealing with just that question.
Emma Sweeney is there for us now, and the answer is somewhere above you, Emma.
It is indeed, Gamal, in the form of a huge sculpture, 6 metres in diameter, and it is made out of coal. Yeah, you heard that right. Thousands of pieces of coal. Now, it's part of an installation hoping to raise awareness of some very important issues. Let me bring in the creator, Paul. Can you tell us some more?
Sure. So the idea started with a calculation. I wondered how much coal would be needed to power a single light bulb for an entire year. So we did the maths, and it was quite remarkable actually. It's over 1/2 ton of coal needed, so we started to do a visualization of what that would look like, and that was the beginning of this sculpture which you're looking at now, that representation of that amount needed in energy terms.
And the idea that that's what it would take to power a single room in a house for a year, you know, that'll really bring the message home to some people. But what sparked the idea for you in the first place?
I mean, for many years I've been very curious about coal, and you know, all the discussions we're sort of having about where our energy comes from, how much it costs, and this really exciting opportunity to embrace new technologies, solar, wind, tidal, and to kind of move away from, you know, fossil fuels. And so it felt the right time to produce this sculpture, and it's incredible to have it in such a public place and a beautiful space in Liverpool.
And I imagine you didn't make it overnight.
It was a big journey. We found one of the last remaining coal mines in Wales, a remarkable documentation of taking material from the ground, cleaning it, drilling it, threading it, and finally suspending it. And that was a really joyful process. 3 days, but it's here, and it looks effortless, but it's surprising. It glows back at you. It's a transformation.
It's spectacular. Thank you so much for talking to us. Well, I want to bring in the Dean of Liverpool, Dr. Sue Jones. How important is it for the church to enter into these kind of dialogues?
It's very important for the church to enter the dialogue because as as a world, we are destroying our world by overuse of fossil fuels, etc. And so we, like everybody else, is affected by the use of natural resources. So we need to be alongside people as they too have to cut back, because at the end of the day, we are destroying God's creation.
Presumably it attracts people into this space who may ordinarily not come into the cathedral.
Yes, and that's what other installations have done, and it brings people in and helps people think in a different way by reflecting upon the installation, which is a beautiful installation, and it just helps people to be transformed as well and to think about the bigger questions of life.
Thank you very much for talking to us now. It opens to the public tomorrow. It's here until the 12th of March. It is beautiful and it's free. Come on down.
Very good advice, Emma.
Looks good.
I love the way that we're opening up our cathedrals to these wonderful art installations. And I've been to a couple at Liverpool Cathedral. The doves was fantastic, you know, the message of peace, and so important. So that's another reason, isn't it?
Have you got a favourite?
Well, actually, I really love the look of that one, and it is such a powerful message, isn't it? It is a very good reason to switch off a light in the room that you're sitting in at the moment.
We can all do our bit,
Don't
people,
switch off the
can't we?
television, though.
Yeah. All these lights, that would be a nightmare. Don't do that. Don't do that. Lots more to come.
They might want that.
Stay with us. Time for sport now, and a big night for Manchester United and their fans. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. A real roses battle tonight at Old Trafford as one of football's most fierce rivalries is renewed. Manchester United taking on Leeds United. And a win for Erik ten Hag's side will see them move within just 5 points of Premier League leaders Arsenal. This is the situation at the top of the table. It makes for very pleasant reading for United, who've made Old Trafford a real fortress in recent months, winning 13 successive matches there.
Yeah, obviously, I'm really happy with the process, what we're showing at home. It's great to have that connection with the whole Old Trafford. But also I think we have to be aware, when we play away, we have always a lot of fans are following us. And we can do the same away because pitches are same size. It's 11-11, so nothing changed.
It's a big night too for Manchester City women. They're away at Arsenal in the semi-finals of the League Cup. City are the reigning cup holders. Well, now, Fleetwood Town have set up a mouth-watering FA Cup clash against Burnley after qualifying for the 5th round for the first time in their history. They beat League One leaders Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 in their 4th round replay. Carlos Mendes Gomez with the goal. They'll head to Turf Moor on March the 1st. That's after Burnley won their 4th round replay too. They made a dream start at home to Ipswich Town when Nathan Teller scored after just 45 seconds. With the scores locked at 1-1, Teller scored again in the 4th minute of stoppage time to secure a 2-1 victory. There was a dramatic finish to Blackpool's championship match at home to Huddersfield Town. Trailing 1-0 with just 8 minutes left, the Seasiders pulled level through Andy Lyons. Huddersfield hit back quickly to restore their advantage, and they thought they'd done enough to take all 3 points before Josh Bowler scored a 90th minute equaliser for Blackpool. It finished 2-2, earning Mick McCarthy his first point since taking charge. In League One, Accrington Stanley also had to make do with a draw. It ended 1-1 at Port Vale. Accrington goalkeeper Lucas Jensen was the hero with a late penalty save. Elsewhere, both Crewe and Tranmere were beaten in League Two. Well, now to netball, and the new Super League season gets underway this weekend. Manchester Thunder are bidding for back-to-back titles for the first time in their history, and they're hoping to enjoy a boost in attendances as excitement for this year's World Cup gathers momentum, as Chris Hall reports.
A moment of golden opportunity.
Last season, Manchester Thunder weren't just the best team in Super League, they were unbeatable. In 2022, they won all 22 matches, only the second team to ever achieve that kind of dominance. But it came at a price.
There's 100% a target on our back, and we know that. The players have discussed it. The players have looked at what it's going to feel like. Some of the players that are in our squad this year weren't part of the squad last year, so pressure's going to be on them. Yeah, you know, we know everyone's coming for us, but hopefully we'll be fully prepared.
Little hips.
To put themselves in the picture again won't be easy. They've lost key players to clubs down under, but they've also lured a few ex-Thunder stars back to Bellevue.
Oh yeah, like we're really proud of the girls that have gone on and sort out new adventures, so really exciting opportunities for them, but it's also been incredible, like you say, to get those opportunities and welcome home lots of Thunder girls who have been elsewhere at other clubs over the last few years and working on their trade, so to welcome them back is really exciting. I think the team's looking very exciting, full of depth and full of talent, a lot of youngsters in there which are really exciting to have on board, and they bring real flair to the team.
It's a huge year for Natalie, who will captain England in South Africa at this summer's World Cup. But the Lancastrian is equally proud to have been named Manchester's skipper for 23 and expects that World Cup buzz to have an impact on her club's crowds.
People turning up to games, tuning in and watching, I think is great for the sport. We love to play in front of crowds, so the more people watching the game, the better. I think 2023 is going to be the most challenging Super League season yet, and I think that's great for the sport. I think there's going to be some really, really close games. I think anyone on any given day could beat anyone, so I think that's really exciting for the league.
We've never defended the title, we've never gone back to back, and that's 100% something that's in our eye line that we want to achieve. But getting that top 4 spot first and foremost to put us in the best position is going to be our target.
With friendships now put aside, a clash with the Celtic Dragons will fire up their new campaign. If they could make it 2 championships on the spin, they'd be made up. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Yeah, best of luck to the Thunder. That's your sport tonight, but I think I've used enough energy tonight. Let's dim those lights. What do you think, guys? There they go. That's better, isn't it?
That's better.
Yeah. Keep me in the dark.
Yeah, we got the message. Thanks, Mike.
Now, to the little boy from Lancaster. He's planning to scale the height of the world's tallest mountain to raise money for a children's hospice.
Yeah, Oscar Burrow is 6 and he already boasts quite an impressive CV, climbing already to the summit of 5 mountains in the UK.
As our reporter Zoe Muldoon explains, he's well on his way to achieving that goal.
Oscar Burrow may only be 6 years old, but his ambitions are already sky high.
I want to be the youngest person to climb Mount Everest.
He's climbing 12 of the UK's tallest mountains, reaching almost 8,849 metres, the height of Mount Everest.
I saw Edmund Hillary on the telly at school, and that made me want to be the youngest person to climb Mount Everest.
And some of the climbs are proving to be a bit of a challenge.
It was so windy I almost blew off, so they had to hold on to me.
How did you feel?
Scared because I was going to fall off the mountain.
But Oscar isn't just in it for the thrills. He's raising money for Darien House Children's Hospice in Chorley.
They're the really poorly people, and I'm going to make 8 families go on holiday.
Oscar is well on his way to achieving his fundraising target of £8,849. That's £1 for every metre of Mount Everest. The money will pay for families at Darien House to use holiday lodges, allowing them to make precious memories.
All the children that are here have life-limiting or life-threatening conditions, and for us it's really important that we help our families to make memories, to make every moment count. The difference he's going to make to those families' lives, it's just you can't put into words.
So far, Oscar's conquered 6 mountains with help and encouragement from his family.
When he came up with the idea that he wanted to do it, we really wanted to support him, and it's been fun for all the family. It's Oscar that's brought walking mountains to the family. Grandad's done quite a few of them in the past, but not ourselves, so it's a dream that we're all getting to realise.
He's really actually turning into quite a leader, and he's actually encouraging me, come on gang, keep going. So I felt very, very, very proud of him.
Oscar will finish his challenge at the end of May on a high by climbing Ben Nevis. Mount Everest is next on his list. For this young adventurer, the sky's the limit. Zoe Muldoon, ITV News.
Yeah, good luck to you, Oscar. No wonder they're so proud of you. Yeah. So are we in the Northwest. And well done to those wonderful people at Darien House at all, as well, of course. Now the weather with Jo.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. There's been some beautiful sunshine around again today. We've been treated to more than expected. And over the next couple of days, lots of dry weather to come with high pressure in charge. There'll be some rain around for a time this evening and winds will increase in strength. And tomorrow, a bright and breezy day ahead. With high pressure still firmly in the driving seat, the next few days will be quite quiet for much of the UK. Bits and pieces of patchy rain at worst, breezy conditions at times, and plenty of sunshine to look forward to, luckily, as we head through into the weekend with average temperatures. In the meantime tonight, as you can see, that rain just working its way southwards and eastwards. It's light and patchy, but it will be quite murky for a time and windy too. After midnight, skies will clear and temperatures rurally could dip to around freezing. But for urban areas and the coast, it'll stay at around 4 or 5 degrees. On to tomorrow, certainly a dry start to the day. Frosty in a few spots with the sun up at 7:43 and setting at 8 minutes past 5. Not a bad day at all tomorrow. Cold start to the day, lots of sunshine around, and it should stay dry. Into the afternoon, sunshine on offer for most places. Quite breezy conditions, but not as windy as it will be tonight. And into the afternoon, temperatures could get to around 8 Celsius, so around average for the time of year. Looking ahead through the rest of the week and into the weekend, temperatures are around average or just above. Slightly more cloud cover over the next few days, but we will see a few glimmers of brightness. And at the moment, plenty of usable weather this weekend. On Saturday and Sunday, it should stay dry. Very small risk of a touch of frost by night. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Great sunshine today. Thanks, Joe. That's it.
Tomorrow, we'll be visiting the husband and wife team in Kendal, who've just been chosen as Artisan Bakers of the Year. And we are very much hoping that we can check their baked goods for ourselves, for research purposes, of course.
Yeah, what's your favourite from the bakery?
Got to be like a meat and tatty pie or something like that. Pickled cabbage on the side. Yours?
Donuts, chocolate eclairs, bread. How long have we got?
Sounds good.